The evening of Sarah's office party, I went for one reason only: to support her. She had been looking forward to the event for weeks, calling it an important opportunity to network with her managers and coworkers at the marketing firm. To me, it was simply another room filled with unfamiliar faces, and honestly, I was perfectly comfortable staying unnoticed. I put on my suit, kept my composure, and decided to remain quietly in the background while Sarah enjoyed her moment. It was her night, not mine. As soon as we walked in, the room came alive with laughter, clinking glasses, and lively music. Sarah happily introduced me to one person after another, names I knew I'd forget within minutes and faces that quickly blended together. Most people were friendly, making small talk, smiling politely, and then moving on. Then I met Daniel. He was tall, confident, and wore the kind of smirk that made it clear he believed he was the most important person in the room. His handshake was firm, not as a greeting, but as if he wanted to establish control. "So, you're Sarah's husband?" he asked, looking me up and down like I didn't belong there. I nodded calmly. "That's right." He gave me another glance, the corner of his mouth lifting with amusement. "Must be nice," he said casually, "not having to worry about work while your wife is out here building a successful career." It sounded casual, but the disrespect behind his words was obvious. I felt Sarah tense beside me, yet I simply smiled and let it go. I'd met people like Daniel before, men who enjoyed pushing others just to see if they'd react. But he wasn't done. For the next 30 minutes, every time the conversation drifted toward me, he slipped in another insult. He joked that I had married above my level, hinted that Sarah deserved someone more ambitious, and suggested I probably couldn't understand the pressure of working in a competitive industry. The people around us laughed awkwardly, glancing back and forth, waiting to see how I'd respond. Sarah kept trying to change the subject, but Daniel always brought it back, circling me like a predator searching for a weak spot. Then he finally crossed the line. Holding his drink with a smug smile, he leaned closer and said, "You know, in a place like this, it's survival of the fittest. Some people just disappear into the background." His voice wasn't playful anymore. It was a direct challenge. I noticed the quick glance he threw at Sarah, as if he wanted to see whether she would stand with him or with me. I calmly placed my glass on the table, looked him straight in the eye, and replied, "You're right, Daniel. Not everyone can handle a competitive environment, but I spent the last 10 years succeeding in one far more ruthless than this." His eyebrows rose with a mix of curiosity and disbelief. "Oh, yeah? Doing what?" he asked. I smiled without changing my expression. "Special Forces, 10 years, multiple overseas deployments. After that, I worked private security for high-profile clients. My job was to outthink, outmaneuver, and outperform people who were actively trying to kill me. So forgive me if your office politics don't impress me." The confidence vanished from his face instantly. The atmosphere around us changed, and the group that had been laughing fell completely silent. Someone let out a nervous laugh to ease the tension, but Daniel never recovered. His face turned pale as he muttered something about only joking, suddenly paying far more attention to his drink than to me. Under the table, Sarah gently squeezed my hand, silently thanking me. For the rest of the evening, Daniel stayed well away from us. Whenever we crossed paths, his voice was respectful and his attitude almost overly polite. Meanwhile, several other guests became curious and asked about my work and travels, but I kept my answers short and modest. I hadn't come there to impress anyone. I only wanted one arrogant man to understand that not every battle is fought inside an office. When the party ended and Sarah and I walked back to the car, she laughed softly. "You didn't have to tell him all that," she teased. I smiled back and replied, "I didn't tell him everything, just enough." During the drive home, I thought about how easily people judge others by appearances. Daniel had looked at me and seen someone ordinary, someone harmless. What he learned that night was that the strongest and most capable people are often the ones who never feel the need to prove themselves. After that evening, Sarah told me Daniel was always unfailingly polite, almost excessively respectful whenever I was around. I never disliked him or held a grudge, but I'm certain he never forgot the night he realized he had absolutely no idea who I really was.